Você está assistindo essa RCTV com o quadro Interview e hoje nós estamos no museu em Los Angeles, na Califórnia, que se chama California African American Museum. E nós temos um dos maiores escultores de todos os tempos hoje com a gente. O nome dele é Wigan, e ele é da Inglaterra e ele faz umas esculturas tão pequenas que ele coloca ela no buraco de uma agulha. Com a olho nu nós não conseguimos ver as esculturas dele. Nós precisamos da ajuda de um microscópio para que aumente a nossa visão 400 vezes mais para que a gente possa ver as esculturas. Mr. Wigan, welcome to CRC TV. Thank you for being with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to show some of your work. In particular, do you have any of your sculpture that you would like to mention? I mean, I haven't seen them. One that impressed me most, is the hummingbird,
mm-hmm.
and I saw the Statue of Liberty that you use a grain of sand,
mm-hmm.
which might be a difficult material to work on.
Yeah. What makes my work difficult is because it's so small, and people that have heard of me, they've seen my stuff on the internet or on TV. It takes a lot of dedication and stability of hand and basically experience of time, and this type of work it's very punishing because it's so small. It's not like an average size artwork. It's microscopic. It's on a molecular level, and it's something that I've been doing for so long. But even though I've been doing it for so long, it hasn't got easier. It's got a lot harder because I've got a lot smaller. And to actually complete one of these sculptures, you're looking at 2 months or maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 4.5 weeks. It depends on the sculpture that you're working on. What I wanted to do is just to sort of express myself as well as my artwork. My artwork depicts me because my background was nothing, meaning my school teacher told me I was nothing, that I would amount to nothing. I would be emptying bins when I leave school. Told me I was illiterate, and the word illiterate means nothing, so that word was impregnated into my mind and soul, so it slaughtered me inside. My school was very miserable for me because I had a condition which I still have now. I have a learning difference, which is no fault of my own. It's just that I was just born this way, and what has given me this ability is because I knew I had to find something, and I found it when I was very young. My mother caught me once because I absconded from school. I used to run away from school because the humiliation was too much for me, and because of the humiliation sometimes you have to escape. My body was there, my mind wasn't, so I escaped a few times. So one day my mother caught me, and she said to me, "Why aren't I at school?" And then she explained to me that I need to go back to school. If I don't go back to school, I'll never learn to read and write properly. And I was trying to explain that I was being humiliated by the teacher, but because I was very young, I couldn't quite explain. But I can explain what actually happened. My school teacher would take me around the school and tell all the children in the school that I was illiterate. I was the consequence of failure. I was the one that they should never become. So this slaughtered me, like I said, and like I said, I tried to tell my mother, but she didn't understand, and she left me, and then she left me sitting down on the ground. This was during the summertime, back in England, 1962, 63. So my head is just like this, and then we used to have a little dog, and the dog come running up the garden and started digging some holes in the ground. and then some ants came out of the ground. So I saw all these ants coming out of the ground. You know, they were coming out to defend the nest. You know, but at the time I didn't know that. I just thought that what the dog had done had destroyed the ants' houses. So I kept thinking the ants were homeless, so they had nowhere to live. So, you know, I felt sorry for them, and because of the way I was thinking at the time, when you're a child, you live in a little fantasy world, and I started to believe that all these ants were, you know, like little human beings. So I knew I had to sort of rescue them by making little houses for them, you know. So I got my dad's razor blade and took little splinters of wood and sliced them up, and I used broken glass to cut these little splinters of wood, and I built up these little houses, you know, lots of little houses for these ants. And then I started making them. I got carried away and I made them little carousels and merry-go-rounds and little ladders. So I built like a little amusement park, as well as
for the ants.
Yeah, as well as living accommodation and apartments, you know. So I just made this sort of little. It was about that size on a piece of cardboard, and I was working away and I saw a shadow come over me. And I looked up and it was my next door neighbour. She said, "Wow, that's good. That's fantastic. Did you make that? Did you make that? It was good." And I heard the word "good" in my head, you know. So, and then all the kids came and they were saying, "Hey, that's good. Really, look at that." And I had a crowd of little kids around me saying, "Wow." Like before I knew, I had about 8 kids, 9, 10 kids all looking at, you know, next door neighbours telling their friends. And then my mother came down the garden and had a look. And then she said to me, she went, "Did you make that?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, that's amazing," you know. And she couldn't believe it, you know. She told me that I should continue to make small things. She said, "You make them small, your name will get big." So the word "good" was it. I was programmed in my head because my reading was no good, my arithmetic was no good. My academic communication was sort of slaughtered, really. So this is where everything just was programmed into microscopic. So I set on this journey to be the greatest microscopic artist that ever lived. I wanted to say that to myself, you know.
Not only you saying that, but I guess
It's
everyone
like,
else now, right?
yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah,
you are one of the greatest artists.
and I became
so far.
that. I became that, you know, and you know, to work on this level, you know, I have to control my breathing. I have to work between my heartbeat. I have to sort of make sure that my pulse doesn't interfere with the work. So each time my heart stops and then I work, you know, because your pulse is controlled by your heart. So, you know, not only that, I have to develop tools on a molecular level, microscopic tools which are made from broken shards of diamond, little tiny industrial diamonds which I smash up and they break off into
dust almost a dust, right?
Yeah, like little
to be
dust.
able to.
Yeah, but some of them look like little bee stings and things, and I just adapted them into little tools and things, and then I had a very small some pearl drills which I polished down with a little wheel which polishes, and it sharpened the edges into very pointed edges. You know, they look like underneath the microscope they're so sharp, you know, that it just looks like a little. The only thing I can explain is like a bee sting, I suppose, or a very small insect, the claw of a small insect, you know. And then I started making other tools with little hooks and little little claws that would hold things down, little clamps and things, and then I just kept on learning how to manipulate and cut things. You know, I'd use Kevlar or nylon or even a grain of sand, you know, or anything that I could find that would cut. Gold, platinum, you know, 24 karat gold.
You also use, for as a material, you use also spider web.
Yeah, well, I use that to rig the ships with. If I make a ship, I'll put the web on the ship, you know, things like that. You know, it's all painstaking work. but I don't enjoy doing it. I enjoy it when it's finished. So I'm looking at the end result all the time as I'm doing it. You know?
Or are you saying that you don't enjoy it because it hurts to be like tied up your muscles?
Yeah, you have to, you know, and then you're getting these little aches here because you're squeezing the tools together to avoid any tremors and things like that.
Because you have to work between hearts. Your own heart, when it beats, kind of interfere in the sculpture. Could break it, right?
Yeah. It wouldn't break it because it doesn't break. It would just
give a different
alter
shape.
the shape.
Yeah.
You know, because it doesn't break because it's so small. Once it sticks, it becomes so strong because the forces between atoms, it cannot go anywhere. You know, you just change the shape. You can't break it. And what people don't understand, when things are on a molecular level, they're a lot stronger than people anticipate. You know, so it's the fact is things can happen where, you know, the tool can get stuck on the base of the microscope, and then it can cause a little catapult action
and breaks.
And one of your tools are gone. You know, one of your sculptures are gone, or sometimes you can inhale the work. You know, so there are all these little obstacles that come in front of you that can cause a problem, but it's a discipline at the same time, and it's
going back to your heartbeat again. You use also is your heart as a jackhammer, right? When you have a harder material.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm working on a grain of sand, I'd sort of use it a little bit. I know how to use it.
You know exactly when your heart's going to beat, and use that.
When it comes.
Is also, is that right? Some of your work is the same size as a blood cell?
Yeah.
That's
even
how
smaller.
Small
Even smaller.
You're going to become like a DNA sculpture at one point if you keep going smaller.
Well, the thing.
You even got the attention of the Queen of England.
I mean, I was awarded the MBE for services to art, you know, which is quite high honour to receive. And receiving that has made me realise what I've achieved. And the Queen now owns one of my sculptures.
She owns one.
She has a microscopic crown, which is on a pinhead. And she was so excited, you know. I had a letter from the Queen.
How did that get into her hands?
Three letters.
She asked you to do it?
The Golden Jubilee came up, and I wanted to make the Queen a little present for the Jubilee. So I thought about making a microscopic crown.
Which reflect exactly the way her crown is.
It's a replica of the crown, the coronation crown. Now, I made a little joke. I said to the Queen, it may not fit you because it's too small, but it's going to fit your heart.
Well, I'm sure it did, because it's incredible.
And you know, when the Queen responds to you, you know, I had all these letters that just came from the Queen, and now they want me to do an exhibition at Kensington Palace at the Queen's place. So I'm looking forward to that. I had another letter, so I'm just waiting for more detail.